Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Is Difficult, the podcast. We're just a show about dudes talking about video games. I don't know.
I was a little concerned where that one was going.
Yeah, me too. Keep our shirts on, don't worry. Not our pants. I mean, yeah, right now, but anyway,
You don't know. You don't
I was going to say, how did I know?
There's no way to know. Oh no.
Yeah, unless I stand up,
Unless my camera falls.
it's gonna remain a mystery. Speaking of things falling, my mic stand has completely broken, so I have to hold this shit up. It's aggravating.
Taking all bets, how long is Paul's arm going to last tonight?
Oh, he'll swap. Why don't you get something to prop it up?
I tried. It didn't really work.
Damn.
So I mean, I might be able to use my PS5, honestly.
Yeah, fuck it. That thing's a brick, literally.
Yeah, it's a tower.
Welcome everybody to we talk about video games and softwares, and I'm trying to make it different. What else do we talk about? Bullshit.
a lot of that, yeah.
A lot of that. We're here to make you laugh and inform you. Maybe not on real facts, but hopefully. Yeah.
I do my best. Researching on the fly is difficult, but
I feel like we're such a better audio podcast. Like if you were listening to us in the morning, like in the radio on your car ride to work, you would love us. You'd be like, "Oh yeah, these guys are fucking awesome." But, yeah. We're decent as
I did host a radio show. Briefly.
I feel like we should really. Ooh, yeah.
We definitely have wanted to do audio. It's just none of us really have the bandwidth to do that.
We need to hire an editor, honestly.
Colin.
With the zero money that we're pulling.
I bet Colin could hook it up and just like tell us how in an easy way. I don't know.
Well, he's tried a couple, but it just like none of them.
Here's my thing. What if I just feed our audio into Audition, and then just like post that to Spotify?
Like that would work, but the problem is like when
just put it to like a thing. Just put it to like a thing that like vibrates when we talk. You know what I mean? Like
sure. So the way that most podcasts like us do their audio versions and even their video versions when they post them to YouTube is that everyone records their own sound.
Yep.
And then they sync it up and like edit it, sync it up.
It would make more sense.
And then post it. And so if we were to do an audio version, that's what we would want because we'd get the cleanest audio. We wouldn't have to worry about like when you two talk over each other and it completely cuts the audio out because of OBS Ninja.
It actually does it when you talk too, Paul. I was watching that.
I'm sure it does. I just don't hear it because it's on my end, right? So, which is why you guys don't notice it either. I'm
just wondering if there's a way to like record the raw audio that like I'm receiving currently, which is just the three of us talking, and it sounds.
Yeah, there is. It would have to be done separately. Like we wouldn't be able. You can't get all three of us at once.
I mean, I could just record the audio from the show, but we'd have the same problem that it is live.
Right.
Yeah. True.
So if anyone watching wants to be our audio editor,
is anyone
hit us up
at?
Yeah.
We don't have an email address, do we?
Hit us up in the Discord.
No, we don't.
Yes. Yeah.
We actually do have an email, but
really? That's right. We do because we have the YouTube channel. So of course we do.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
I wonder how much spam is in it. Anyway, who are we, Josh?
Yes, I'm Lord Yeshua, your co-host. It's Josh and the. Don't say
it.
And you are on Paul's channel. It's Ryugami-san in the flesh. Fuck!
We were so close.
We were so close. And then we got Zach. It's another left out over there.
In the flesh.
This is difficult. We're all in the flesh. I had to say it.
Yeah.
I think that's just our thing at this point.
Yeah, we're just weirdos. All right. Welcome. So let's get us kicked off. Pass the ball to Paul.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since we actually did a show because we've all had a lot going on in our lives, right? You moved. Zach had a baby. We had, I had a lot of stuff going on here, So,
well, your wife had a birthday. Happy birthday, Chelsea! A little bit later.
Yes,
that's important. My wife had a birthday. I had a birthday. I did some out of town stuff. So, yeah, just been busy, but we're back, and hopefully we'll have fewer interruptions going forward. But these things happen. But tell us how you've been lately. Tell us what games you've been playing. It's been so long since we've caught up. So, Josh, why don't we start with you?
Oh, yeah. So, really not. I mean, a little bit. So, I've been streaming like a few times lately with Colin to get to some small co-op streams in. But since the move, like, we played some Hat in Time yesterday. It was pretty dope. We almost beat Majora's Mask. Getting kind of bored with it because we kind of fucked up and like cheated a little too much. And now we're just like floating through it. And it's like, I kind of want to, our mod loader is down right now. So everything we do is like single screen. I don't know if that makes sense. So we can't like do the dual screen stream like before until Colin is in his new house. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Anyway.
They got a lot of work to do on that house.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, that's what I assumed. Long story short, just little streams here and there. So what else? I can't even remember. Probably some banjo or some bullshit. Hat in Time is so good though. We've been playing that. We're going to play that again tonight, maybe. And that is most likely after this. That is just like full of really cool mods that people have made. It's kind of in the Mario Maker vein where people have like done really, really good mods that are just awesome versions, add-ons to this game. So anyone who hasn't played this yet, I would definitely recommend them grabbing a Hat in Time, which is like probably pennies at this point, and it has free modding. So just do it. It's really good if you like 3D platformers. Aside from that, you know, I don't know. That's it.
Very cool. What about you, Zach?
Honestly, like, obviously the baby is monopolizing the majority of my time, so there's not a whole lot of time for gaming, but every once in a while can sneak in a little bit of Mega Man. I'm almost on I'm actually stalled out a little bit on Mega Man 5 because I didn't bother to get the beat letters. And you need so in Mega Man 5 well there's some hidden power-ups. Basically you can get all the way to the end of the game. You can beat the game without it, but it makes the end game content that like you're familiar with the Sigma stuff, in this case it's Wily stuff, just 1,000 times easier. And I kind of spaced it. I forgot it was there and got to the end game. I'm like, oh crap. And so now either I have to game over and start back all the way at the beginning of the Wily levels, or just muscle my way through it.
You basically have to beat Majora's Mask without the Fierce Deity's mask.
Yeah, pretty much. It's very doable, and I just need to buckle in and do it.
That sounds like how I would rather beat it, actually.
Honestly,
without OP powers, but it's gonna be your butt's gonna be sore.
It's my hiney's gonna be uncomfortable. And then a little bit of Pokemon Green just to kind of prepare for today.
Sweet.
That's about it.
Sweet.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't been gaming too much either. You've probably noticed I haven't been streaming as much lately. I just haven't been as inspired by many games that I currently have in my library. Like, you know, I'll like pick up a game and play it a little and be like, I'm not really, I don't want to stream this, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for something. I've still been doing Samurai Saturday, so that's cool. I'll talk about that more here in a little bit. So that's you know, been most of it. But I was inspired actually by our last podcast to play Donkey Kong on the Game Boy. And I played it on an actual Game Boy. So no save states or rewinds or anything like that. And one of the things that you had brought up in your review was that you didn't think that it was really that doable without the reverse.
I thought it was super hard.
So here's the thing.
I was like, it's insanely hard.
It is. But one thing that I noticed, number one, it saves or kind of like automatically saves after each Donkey Kong encounter.
Oh, that's
right?
nice.
And also each level that you beat lets you accumulate lots of lives. So at one point in the game, I had like about 80 lives. And, you know, I would still die every now and again, but the amount of lives that I was getting, you know, was more than I was dying. Until I got to like the last, I want to say 2 worlds.
Dude, yeah.
The last 2 worlds are so hard. I think of the 80 lives that I had, I think I had like somewhere in the low 50s when I finished the game.
And you were gaining. So
and you're still gaining lives as you're doing that, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it was the last 2 worlds of that game are absolutely brutal.
Dude, the last world especially, the Donkey Kong world, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So you beat it.
Yeah, I beat it.
Shit.
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
I kind of would play it you know, intermittently while I was working. And so like if I had a little bit of downtime, I'd pick it up and play a couple levels, or, you know, play a level or two and get frustrated and turn the Game Boy off. Like, you know, come back to it. So I did it over the course of like 2 weeks.
Like 10 hours tops.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm not really sure how long. I wasn't really clocking it at all.
I thought it was gonna be forever. I mean, I definitely beat it back in the day like that, but I remember it being forever.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a hard game.
Hard game.
But yeah, it's definitely doable. It's a lot of fun. Once you really get familiar with the move sets and the types of puzzles you're going to encounter, it makes it a lot easier to you know, get through a lot of levels and interpret what's going on.
Some are mind-bending though. Some were crazy.
Some are just stupid. There's some, especially some of the like actual Donkey Kong encounters, like the boss levels, are like pure RNG. You know, like,
oh yeah,
there's you know, there's some times where there's just no way to time it perfectly and you're just fucked either way. So, but fortunately that doesn't happen often, but it does happen. So that's a little frustrating, but overall it's an awesome game. And if you have a chance to play that on the Game Boy, I highly recommend it.
So I would love to.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Other than that, I've been good. I mean, just working. I'm working towards a certification in IT, Azure certification. So I've been kind of focusing a little bit on that. And, you know, like I said, we had both mine and my wife's birthday, and actually our wedding anniversary too, which we both kind of forgot about. We're not really wedding anniversary people, or like anniversary people in general, but yeah, that was all like back-to-back stuff. So, and went to the lake with some friends, and yeah, it was cool. It's been good. Just been busy as hell. So, you know what it be like.
What it be?
Yeah. Do you guys have any current events that you want to talk about?
Yeah, actually, hold on one second.
I definitely do. So, but I'll let you guys go first.
Yeah, sorry, I'm fighting off a little bit of an allergy attack here.
I mean, for me, mine is obvious. The Nintendo Direct. We have a lot of juicy shit to talk about, but
yeah. So let's hold that one, Josh. We'll do that one last because like we can all comment on that one. Yeah. But mine is actually for you, Josh, as well as me to a lesser extent. And I posted this in the Discord. There's Deltarune stuff brewing.
Which chapters? How many?
Well, okay, so it's the anniversary of the second chapter coming out, and they have said that they are doing something to celebrate. That's all we know.
Not chapter 3. We don't give.
It's not chapter 3. It's driving me crazy.
What the fuck?
So for those who have tuned in later, Josh and I both beat chapter 1, and we're waiting for the rest of it because we're just like, we don't want to forget where we were.
I'm halfway through chapter 2, and
I'm like,
this is gonna suck because I'm gonna want so much more, and so I realized that, and I was like, I need to stop.
Yeah.
It's a very good game. If you want, play chapter 1. It's free on your Switch and Steam and whatever else probably. I don't know about Steam actually, but definitely.
I'm not sure, but it's definitely on Switch for free. It's fantastic. We had a great time. But we definitely want more, and it's been something like 2 years since we've had any content for that. So maybe this is an announcement. Who knows? But that's my current event. Deltarune stuff coming soon.
Very cool. Very cool.
Wait.
Yeah. Mine kind of is related to the review that I'm doing later. But it's also something that I've been talking about for quite a while, and I'm very happy that my kind of prediction and, you know, hope is starting to come true. To go back a little bit, we, in the same day as the Nintendo Direct, we also had a Sony Direct, which, or I guess they call it State of Play, which was really good. There was a lot of really cool stuff shown, but in particular, there was two, not one, but two badass looking samurai games that were announced.
I was like, damn, Paul's gonna nut.
Yeah, one of those games is a game that was actually released in Japan quite a long time ago. It was a like samurai era spin-off of the Yakuza series. And they fully remade it and they're localizing it for the first time ever. And the reason why this is important is because it's been cited by multiple sources that the reason that they decided to bring it back on top of just, people requesting it was specifically how well Ghost of Tsushima did in the West.
Wow.
And they saw that and they're like, oh my God, people actually have a desire to play like Japanese, like, period video games. And this is exactly what I hoped would happen. So the two games that were announced, you've got Like a Dragon Ishin, that's the Yakuza one, and then the other one is called Rise of the Ronin, which is from... It looks awesome. It's from the same people who made the Neo games, which are also samurai games. But I think those were sold more as like Souls-likes than samurai games, even though they're very much steeped in actual Japanese history and like during the Sengoku period, which is very cool, the Warring States period in Japan. But I think in the West, those were sold more, like I said, as Souls-like. Whereas now they're blatantly marketing these samurai games because they know that they can be successful, which I think is really interesting. I've been saying that, they would be successful for a very long time, and that's exactly what I hoped would happen with Ghost of Tsushima. So, maybe we're actually going to see some more of these games. The games that I've been playing most recently are the Way of the Samurai series and the Kengo series, which are both samurai games for, the PlayStation 2. And then some of them came out on later consoles as well, but primarily the PlayStation 2. And that was really, honestly, that's like the only place we've ever really gotten decent samurai games, right? But most of those didn't get ported over to the West. In fact, one of those games that I played this weekend, I played 100% in Japanese. We'll talk about that a little more later. But yeah, anyway, that's just super exciting to me. I really hope to see, more of this. I hope maybe even we get like a resurrection of like the Way of the Samurai series, I think would be really cool. But yeah, anyway, that's my big current event. So
it's a good one.
Yeah.
Mine is definitely the Nintendo Direct. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's see. Did we get anything good? Does anyone give a shit about Pikmin?
No one I even tweeted that. I tweeted,
Miyamoto
does anyone
so proud.
Does anyone actually care about Pikmin? And
I will say this was a launch title for the GameCube, and I got it in Luigi's Mansion, and I thought it was such a unique game. It's like a godlike, you know what that means? Like you basically like control these creatures and they grow and whatnot. But 4 times, and it's like, how momentous is this shit that it's you know what I mean? Like we're not getting Donkey Kong and Mario Kart because of this.
Yeah, no one cares.
Miyamoto's love child, Pikmin. And I'm like, is this man slipping? Is this his priorities?
Is he having a stroke? Should we be concerned?
They're stretching out the lifespan hard. We're getting not Breath 2 anymore. We're getting Tears of the Kingdom in May, and we're not getting word of another console yet, which makes me think that it's not going to be a dual rider.
I still don't think that's out of the question. I think if they announce another console, it'll be in March. Or February or March, if they announce another console.
I'm gonna have to rebuy all my fucking games.
Better fucking not.
Dude,
that's gonna be insane, dude. Like we did with the Wii U. Like I bought all those games again. Mario Kart, Donkey Kong.
Speaking of which, I bought a couple games, particularly Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD Remaster on the Wii U.
Amazing.
Hoping that, since I got it digitally, I could just download it on my Switch and it would be playable. Nope.
I reluctantly bought all those new games. I was like, oh, Mario Kart's coming out now?
Yeah.
God damn it. Like, give me less and less reasons to play my Wii U, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's like, there's no original games. Like, give us Mario Kart 9 instead of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah, that was another thing that a lot of people anticipated during this Direct was there was heavy leaks of and rumors of a Wind Waker and Twilight Princess remasters, as well as the Metroid Prime trilogy remasters.
I thought that was confirmed. I thought that was...
So allegedly, according to a lot of leakers, both of these things are confirmed, but we're just waiting on an announcement, and everyone assumed that they were coming during this Direct.
It's pretty wild, actually. This kind of reminds me of last year when all we got was Kirby and like a maybe about a Zelda.
Yeah, right.
I still think there's a chance that Zelda can get pushed back because they gave themselves, 7 months? 7.5 months is a long time.
Yeah, you're right. It's still just a rumor.
Yeah.
I will say, though, about Zelda real quick, while we're on the subject. Full redemption here. Now that we're not calling it Breath 2 anymore, I'm actually kind of excited about this game. Now that it has an identity, and I don't think it's going to be as big as we think it is.
Whoa. Let me pump the brakes on you there. It's twice as big.
Yeah.
It's got the whole map, and then you also now have the sky.
But let's see how it operates, because it kind of seems like it could potentially have linear dungeon patterns, or potentially.
That's another
larger
rumor.
Dungeon areas,
and I really hope that they go that direction. I'm cautiously optimistic about it, but to me, it still stinks too much of Breath of the Wild.
I get that, but I think there's more hype now. I'm more excited, and it feels like its own identity at least. It could be a Majora's Mask, dude. Think about it. Ocarina of Time is great, and that is a great game. But then Majora's Mask comes out and blows a bunch of other people's minds. And I love Majora's Mask too, but it was for other people the best Zelda game because it was so different and off the wall.
Well, I don't know. Here's a thought that I'm having right now. When we finished playing Ocarina and they announced Majora, and we were like, okay, gonna get that game immediately. Day one pre-ordering it.
That was my first day one pre-order.
Right. I think it was mine and Nathan's also. And that goes on and on for years, where a Zelda game drops and you're just like, no, day one pre-order. Absolutely.
100%.
This is the first time since then I'm not going to day one pre-order.
I'm going to kill you. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to buy it regardless because I want to own all the Zelda games. But I like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. I might not finish the game.
This could be next year's Elden Ring, though. If I'm being honest, it could be. Zelda has the magic potential. This is all I'm saying. Is if they are listening with their ear to the ground and they're still using their Nintendo Cauldron of Magic, they could potentially whip something up. And they delayed it, but just enough so that it's next year. It's kind of smart, so they can still be a contender for Game of the Year. I think is what that was. There's no way they're fighting against.
Sure.
They probably could have launched it this year. It sounds like. But
I'll be real with you, Josh. I'm going to wait until you guys play it, and I'll make my decision.
I'm day oneing that 100%. That's probably my most look. I'm not a 10 excited for this game like I was when Wind Waker and Skyward Sword were announced and shit like that. Honestly, even when Breath was announced, I was really excited. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, dude, that was the most anticipated Zelda game forever. Yeah, I remember because it was years after they announced it that it actually came out. So I kept constantly looking at YouTube videos and trying to find more information on what it was, and I was excited about it. And then
I remember that. Yeah. I gotta say that's probably why they're not scrapping the engine. You know what I mean? They probably have so much in it that they're just that's why I think there's still hope that it could just look like Breath and not be. You know what I mean?
I hope you're right. I
I really hope I'm right. I think there are remnants of redemption. They're really trying to slap on a new identity. It's feeling dark, and I don't know. What did they say?
Comics and Coffee in the chat thinks that
hope is gone. Josh is on Hopium. I shot it up. But aside from that, Kirby is getting a remake. Kirby. So this is a remake of a remake. Wait. So this is a remake? Yeah, of a remake of the first Kirby. from Dreamland. So this is basically the first Kirby.
Isn't it like
for the Game
All-Star
Boy.
or whatever?
It's online co-op, and he has powers and shit. So like, it's not All-Star. It's like literally the first one, but co-op.
Oh, it is. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the one where he doesn't have powers. But or is it Return to Dreamland? It's Return to Dreamland. It's a remake of Return to Dreamland, which is a remake of the first one. This is literally like a third. I'm not even making this up. Like,
Jesus Christ!
I'm pretty sure it's Return to Dreamland itself is a powers version of the first game on the Game Boy Advance or some shit like that. And then there was one on the Wii or the Wii U or one like that. That was a remake. And now this is a Switch version of that. I'm almost certain. I'm not even making this up.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I can't remember exactly. Oh yeah, I remember that. Kirby Superstar does have the.
So to me, it looked like a 3D Kirby Superstar.
But it's online co-op, from what I'm hearing, or just co-op.
No, it's local co-op. It's only local co-op.
Kill me already. Like, no. So I was more excited for that. Zelda is co-op, I hear, or no?
What?
Someone said that, Colin, but I don't know if he was talking about that game or not. I just said that for no reason.
Yeah, you just made that shit up.
Okay. It's not co-op. That would be really cool. You could play as something. Zelda, maybe?
Okay, come with me on this journey, Josh.
Okay, I'm here.
Bowser's Fury with Zelda.
That'd be cool.
But that's pretty much what Wind Waker was. But
did you guys see that video I posted about the scrapped Zelda spin-off made by Retro Studios with Sheik as the lead?
Me and Colin's idea.
That was a real thing. Yeah.
That was an idea we had. That was probably
that was an idea everyone had. We all talked about that back in the day. Everyone was like, dude, we need a spin-off with Sheik. But they actually kind of did it. There was like a semi-playable demo.
And it takes place during that timeline when Link's asleep, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Allegedly, the gameplay was based on Link's crossbow training, though. So it was like real shit, and they scrapped it. But the idea is cool.
They the game. Why did they screw her like that? Sheik deserves her own game.
That would be cool.
Yes, agreed.
But yeah, I just thought it was funny that Nintendo comes out with this. I wouldn't say it was a bad direct. I actually thought it was fairly decent, but it left a lot of people disappointed. They left a lot off the table. And then Sony, same day, comes in and crushes it with some really badass stuff.
Yeah, basically,
I
Sony
swear
is
that happened to them. Like, Sony had to know. Nintendo's got absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
everyone knew.
Yeah, they came out swinging, dude.
I will say
that until day of, like, that state of play was just like out of the blue.
Yeah.
I was sitting, I walked into work. I'm opening my breakfast, and here's Paul posting in Discord. Oh, there's a state of play today too. I'm like, oh well, 2 of the big 3.
Yeah.
Like, something's up.
I don't think it hurts Nintendo, but I do think that this forecast is making it look like Zelda is the only thing that can scoop like a shit ton of sales. And if we see like they have a way of like coupling their shit, so that we might like right as Zelda is getting like hyped up at the end, get a new console announced or something like that.
I didn't even see anyone really excited about Fire Emblem, the new Fire Emblem game.
I'm over that series.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Fire Emblem's fine. I haven't played one
if you're into that
in a very long time. I think it's a good game, but I mean, that was one of their flagship games, and I didn't really see anyone excited about it, So, and I think, I also think this also really just shows that the Switch is aged. Like, that's why we need a new console, is because, there's just not anything exciting coming out for it.
Here's the issue, is that so much has come out for it, and I don't think we realize that our backlog is so big on like a mid-journey console. Like,
but most of these games you can play on other consoles, a lot better. It's nice that you can play them handheld, but the only things that are really exciting that they announce for Nintendo are Nintendo specific games. Because even though there's a ton of other stuff, the fact, especially now that you've got the Steam Deck, right, which can play, much more powerful versions of a lot of the games that are on the Switch, The advantage that the Switch had was that it's portable. Now it doesn't have that advantage anymore, right? And so we need a more powerful console, because I can't wait, 4 to 5 years for the next Zelda game that's probably going to suck. There
it is. There it is.
Oof, Nintendo's on its last ticket here, it sounds like.
Well, they might be.
I never count them out.
I will say, here's what we should do. Well, not what we should do, but a lot of people are discounting, like, looking back at the catalog we have for the Switch. And there is a massive catalog. We already have a Zelda game that some people love. A lot of people love, actually. We have Link's Awakening 2.
It's the top-selling Zelda game.
Link's Awakening is the best Zelda game on the Switch, by the way. We have Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on it, and all the Super Nintendo games and everything we can possibly want. And more Donkey Kong, Mario Kart. We have Pokemon on it. All I'm saying is tennis, golf. And a Mario game, a 3D Mario game, and Bowser's Fury, which honestly, yes, if Breath of the Wild 2 or Tears of the Kingdom was like that would be a sexy answer to the new Kingdom. That would be like a sexy answer. I'm just realizing now, if you like went to a new area and it was just like a dungeon and you're in it already. But I will say the Switch has a massive catalog. It may be time to level up to the next console, but
it is time.
We shouldn't discount what it already has done and how big the library. So I think Nintendo's trying to look at a solution to this. If it's not like log in with your Nintendo network and you get all of your shit, like I better get the Nintendo thing and the Super Nintendo thing and all that shit like day one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All my save files. And
dude, a prime example of this is
really brutal to have to obsolete the Switch. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
For sure. A prime example of what I'm talking about, though, is I forgot to mention this when we were talking about what we were playing this week, but I actually played some Swords of Ditto this last week on my Switch, which that game's awesome. It's a 2D Zelda-like that's kind of roguelike, and it's just really cool. It's a very cool game. Super fun, but it's not like crazy, advanced or anything. But the load times on Switch are horrendous. It's a 2D game. Why are the load times so long?
Like, that's bad. The worst part of Dread was the load times.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
They were.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. So, like, if I can, which I can, I own that on PC as well. Why wouldn't I just play that on PC instead?
Right.
It, like, the only thing that it has going for it is that it's portable, and
Well, back it up. We also have the first-party titles. The first-party titles are the reason you own Nintendo.
That's what I'm saying, but we're not seeing any decent ones, and when we do, they're so few and far between, and we don't even know if they're going to be good, right? Like. And a lot of the recent first-party titles have been rehashes or half-assed sports games.
I will say it's like to the point where we have to wonder as fans moving into the 7th year on the Switch if the console is stretching it out super thin because they realize that like they have to do the new console thing and port some things over, or if they're like at a conundrum point where they're like, oh shit, we don't have anything at all. We're running out of stuff, and we're kind of dead zoning now because of the chip shortage, and we can't really put out a new console. And we have like a Mario game to drop in a year. Like, think about that. They might have a Mario game in like 2024, and they're thinking like this is their idea. Like, oof, we're kind of fucked.
So Comics and Coffee brings up another good point. Like, Breath of the Wild was a Zelda game designed for a Fortnite audience.
Yeah.
And that Fortnite audience is not going to stick around forever.
No,
I agree.
Therefore, Josh, what you're saying about those first-party titles, they don't have a longevity. If they're going to keep doing that, they're not going to have the longevity to be these evergreen titles that the three of us adore and revere.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
even Odyssey. We're moving 5 years away from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bowser's Fury was like heavily overlooked, I feel like.
I mean, my nieces love Bowser's
game's so dope.
But that's because I taught them how to play video games and how to appreciate video games. Like, that's not common anymore. So many, I'm not going to get up on my soapbox about parenting, that I often am as a teacher, but I see the results of basically these Call of Duty players raising the next generation of gamers.
Oof.
And gamers just don't respect these classic titles the way the three of us do.
And the titles are having to change for that crowd.
Exactly.
This is why the old ones will always be so good. And like, even if it's rose-colored glasses or what, it's like the ideas. That's what I feel when I play these games. Like, I go back and play Majora's Mask or whatever. I'm like, damn, these games have rich, original ideas that clearly started here. You know what I mean? Like in old Mario games, you're like, wow, first time I've seen that. You know, and shit like that. And then it changes and gets different and shies away from these mechanics. So you don't see those things anymore. Right. So it actually, like, where we are in Zelda, like, couldn't be farther from what the series actually is, even though people call it like a rehash of the first Zelda, which is funny. Yeah. Like, it's only really like that in idea alone, and that like then it's like completely not even the same identity.
Yeah.
Nintendo,
do we move on from this?
Yeah, we could, but this is kind of a sexy. We were getting on a sexy spiral there.
Zach, why don't you lead us into this topic? This was your idea, so.
Okay, so this was kind of an idea that I had kind of at the 0 hour this morning, because Josh and I Paul and I rather, we're gonna talk about our various experiences playing through games with limited to no Japanese, games in Japanese with little to no Japanese experience. Paul's Japanese is up significantly better than mine. I'm starting to be able to pick things up just based on the amount of television and stuff with subtitles that I'm consuming at this moment. But in general, I don't read a word of Japanese. But Josh piped in and said, I don't really have anything to talk about that with that. So I twisted it around in my head and said instead, what about playing games in ways that the developers didn't necessarily intend?
That's fun stuff.
So, well, Paul and I are just playing games in a very bog standard way, but handicapping ourselves in our ability to understand them. Josh is coming to us with the perspective of playing Donkey Kong, for example, initially as just a fan of the franchise, but now as a speedrunner, which is not the way the game is necessarily intended to be played.
Some would say it's the optimal way for it to be played.
About Metroid, or the same about Mega Man. It is absolutely a phenomenon that exists, but not necessarily the way that it was originally programmed. So my first question is, how do you get to a point where you're ready to approach a game in a different way?
I think this is a really cool topic, by the way, I feel like, because games are created in a certain way with an intention, right? So like, do this and achieve that, like beat the level, beat the boss, you beat the game, right? It could be as simple as that. And then to do unique things within that game, like could be a fun or quirky or unique thing or any number of things. But basically what it says to me is that someone is like comfortable enough in this game that they can play around like it's their playground. Like for me, just a slight example before we get too deep, Super Mario 64, like it's a sandbox fun time. Like we played co-op on Mod Loader and you can just like jump on each other's heads and like jump around and see what you can do with the momentum. Like things that aren't even like getting a star or coins, you know what I mean? Things that just involve like breaking or playing and pushing to the limits of the game, just because you have such like a taste for it, or like you know it so well, basically, that you can like, you want to see what's next, see like the next part of it, like see where you can push the game in different directions. Anyway.
Yeah. For me, in this particular instance, the game that I was playing this weekend is Kengo 3. This game only came out in Japan. The first two, well, the first one came out in all regions, and then the second one came out in Japan and Europe, and funny enough, I had to do some quirky things to be able to play the second one when I originally played it as well, because I had to import the game, which wouldn't play on my console because I didn't have a European console. And so what I ended up having to do was mod my console so that it had a flip top, and I used a swap disc. And I still couldn't play that disc. What I had to do was rip it onto my computer and then re-encode it for NTSC region, and then burn it onto a DVD and then play it, so that I was basically playing a NTSC version of a PAL game on my original PlayStation 2 back in the day, which was a struggle, but it worked. Yeah, it was cool.
That's insane.
Yeah. In this case, though, it was a lot easier. I have now a modded console that is region free, so I can toss in any game and it'll play. But this game never came out in English anywhere, so I do have some Japanese knowledge. I studied in an advanced language study program in high school, and then I went to Japan for a little under a month. And then I studied in college for a little bit, but not as long as I would have liked to. I used to speak actually pretty well. Like, I wouldn't say anywhere close to fluent, but I was conversational. And I can still read like the kana very well, like hiragana and katakana. But my kanji is absolute dog shit, and most of this game is in kanji. A good bit of it. So what I ended up doing was two things. Number one, Google Translate, the app, actually they bought a company a long time ago called World Lens, which allows you to use your camera and it will in real time translate, almost any language into your language. So I can just hold my phone up and use Google Lens, and it'll translate that. The translations aren't the best though. So I also had my friend Gabe and his wife Natsumi, who his wife is a native speaker and he is effectively fluent. Spent like 10 years in Japan, teaching and everything like that. So they were on Discord with me, and helping me translate the game as I played through as well, which was a lot of fun. It could have gone better. We probably should have tested it out before we did it, but that's kind of how I roll. I mean, I don't think that was the original intention of how to play this game, but
fair.
There was a game that I wanted to play, and I fucking found a way to do it.
Yeah, and that's my approach to Pokemon Green also. Google Translate has been fantastic. At least I can kind of keep my moves straight and figure out what Pokemon or what. No, not even really, because Pokemon names don't come through. But I'm really relying on my just previous knowledge, my experience playing through Red and Blue as a kid many times. I mean, honestly, like if I really think about it, Pokemon, the originals, are probably my most played games.
Me too, probably.
Just because they're so linear, and there's like one bit of tricky business where you have to backtrack a whole bunch, but like
they're so good,
in general,
too. They're just like
really
I think they might be the perfect handheld RPG.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Really, really incredible. Yeah, 150 characters with limitless options, as far as how to build your team.
Absolutely. Admittedly, like I've got myself stuck in a corner right now because I accidentally deleted a move from Butterfree that is going to help me. That would basically guarantee me Zapdos, and unfortunately,
sleep powder.
Yeah, that's the one. I accidentally deleted it.
You're gonna have to throw 1,000 Ultra Balls, and you're gonna have to hope it's an Ultra Ball because you can't read.
I do know where the Ultra Balls are because I've put them on my.
If you know where they are, I see. Yeah. You can move things in your inventory.
Yeah. So when I bought them and I use Google Translate to double check, it says Ultra Ball. Although from what I understand, the words for great and ultra in the game are very similar.
But you can do. You can throw it at a common thing like a Rattata at full health and see if it works instantly.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So
anyway,
there are ways. It's a pain in the butt. But it guarantees me that I'm playing that game a lot longer for a lot more hours than Nintendo originally planned.
Yeah.
Which to me says, Nintendo, you've done a good job. I'm playing your game. I'm basically like devoting to my life to this game for a much extended period. And here's Nintendo coming at us with, well, we don't like it. Yeah. That's where I was going with this. Recently, or semi-recently, I guess, they have basically condemned the Nuzlocke style of gameplay in Pokemon. I'm like, why?
It's the most absurd thing.
So those who don't know,
go ahead.
Those who don't know what the Nuzlocke is, it's when you just play the game normally. You can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter and can successfully catch. You know what I mean? And then, like, once you fill up your roster, that's 6. That's it. And then whenever your Pokemon faints, you release it into the wild and then catch a new one, basically. So it's brutal as fuck. I think there's another rule that you can only have one of each from that region. So you can't like just catch Rattatas. Yeah. If you catch a Rattata, that's it. If you only encounter Rattatas, you're fucked. Like you need to wait for a Pidgey.
Which, the energy would basically preclude that from happening, but
yeah, exactly. But so basically Nintendo is condemning this because it doesn't feel like they're playing within the boundaries of the game. They went as far as to say this is like a ROM hack and like breaking the game, basically. Like
that's the most bananas things I've ever like.
That's the stupidest.
It's a really excellent way to make a game replayable infinitely, essentially, without having to do anything else to the game. You're not hacking the game. You're playing your game.
The release option is a thing in Pokemon. And the option to catch the first Pokemon is a thing. So who's to argue that when a Pokemon faints, and maybe you just don't want to use a potion. Like maybe you just healing, you're not. That's another thing. What if you don't want to do a healing run? Or like any number of things. There's like tons of cool ways to play the game. That's a cool way. Actually makes me want to do that with like Paper Mario.
Or, do something that's deliberately going to handicap you.
Sure.
That's not.
So for me, my best example of this is in Paper Mario. I love doing the double damage runs, like literally where I make all the bad guys deal double damage to me, or I put on a badge that makes me take more damage. And this is like the most fun way to do it because it makes the fights way more intense. Like why? And that's technically like Nintendo would not condone that. I feel like bullshit.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. That's just such a freaking weird take.
And here I am out here like examining ROM hacks and trying to find cool new ways to play games. The Super Duper Metroid, I only got a little ways into it before the baby arrived, but it's so cool. Like it forces me to play the game in a completely different way. It extends my enjoyment of that game. When Paul and I can get our acts together, we found a mod for Goof Troop. We're gonna bring that back. We're gonna play it again.
Oh, co-op mod? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's already a co-op game.
I will say, so mod loader is like playing games co-op. That's another thing. Like Nintendo would poop all over us if they heard us saying this. But like playing some of these games 2-player as opposed to 1-player is like a reason to play them.
The irony of that is that they're doing these things with their own classic console variants within the Switch itself. Not only are games, online co-opable that have never been done before. That's essentially something you would do with, a ROM hack or mod loader. But they also have those like star versions of the game, the special ones that like totally, enhance the game in different ways.
Remember that? Yeah, super thing.
To make, you know what I'm talking about? The little, like when you pull up.
You should do that for the N64 also. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Not all of them are like enhanced though, Paul. Like the Super Metroid one just dumps you in at the end of the game. You have all the items.
Well, it just gives you everything.
Sure, but that's still an enhancement. Like that's
right. It gives you. I mean, you can explore the whole map. It's all revealed. Yeah, you're right. It is.
It's effectively a ROM hack. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So
okay, never mind. Zach changed his mind. I feel like.
Well, no, it is a ROM hack, but it's not doing anything like that you can't already do. It's just eliminating you having to do some stuff, some legwork.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the same idea as some of the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just their official approved version. And it's like, go fuck yourself, Nintendo. Like, let people play the games the way they want to play the games. Especially, I can understand the ROM hack argument for ROM hacks. Like, you're technically playing a pirated version of the game in some sense of the word. But when it comes to just using your original title that you bought and paid for and just playing it how you want to play it, whether it's speedrunning or doing a Nuzlocke or some other, non-linear way of playing the game.
0% Metroid, 0%.
Yeah, like why is that something that you would object to? It's people continuing to play your game.
I wonder how they feel about speedrunning though.
Yeah, I would
That's actually
imagine.
a great question.
I will say playing Donkey Kong, like walking through the game, sure, it's fun, it's great. But that can't be the intended way because when you fucking go full throttle through these bastards, like, dude, and you're jumping perfectly and everything is timed perfectly, it feels like they placed everything perfectly for you to go as fast as possible.
Well, I guarantee they did.
You know what I mean? So like I feel like they encouraged speed running to a degree, or they at least want you to be able to run through the level perfectly, you know, in some games.
It's that balance, right? And they're trying not to make Sonic.
They don't want it broken. Like the old Donkey Kongs, you could literally do like a combo where Diddy would just like spin like forward infinitely in the air, and like they're like, oh fuck, it like breaks it for speedrunners. He's like moving at full speed at the top of the screen and just like beats the level because he doesn't have to avoid obstacles. But in the newer ones, like for example, they just like make the level perfect so everything lines up. Whereas the old ones, it was kind of less like that, I would say, where the levels were really well made, but they weren't like perfect. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know. It'd be interesting. Nintendo really only discondoned, whatever the word is, the Nuzlocke, though. I don't know. I condemn. That's the word. I don't know how they feel about everything else. So we shouldn't get too carried away. Like they may like, you know, like blowing yourself up and launching yourself across the map in Breath of the Wild, like, and people like doing that crazy bomb trick. Do you think they like look at that and they're like, oh, that's bullshit? Because they probably didn't intend any of that.
For sure they did.
But yeah, for sure they didn't, right?
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, there's like weird combos that can literally launch you across the map with your bombs and arrows and like using cryo and whatever, or the other one, stasis. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's awesome to be able to play games like that. Even Nintendo's never going to stop it, and they've always been kind of mad at.
They can't. They can't possibly.
Yeah.
No, there's no
been like they've done like cease and desist or like taking down YouTube videos. Of,
yeah,
like,
but they're not going to cease and desist you from playing a Nuzlocke. Like, how could they? You bought the game.
Exactly.
You're playing it in your home the way you want to play it. Like, what if you did? What if the Nintendo Ninjas showed up at your house with a cease and desist? Like, you didn't even stream it. You're just doing a Nuzlocke like on your Game Boy, and they know. And they just show up. They just like break in the windows and they're like, drop the Game Boy. And like, oh my god.
Makes me want to do one.
This dude's doing a Nuzlocke.
He's doing Nuzlocke, bro. Oh shit, call it in. We need backup. He's
Hilarious.
got a bad date.
We totally lost Zach's audio.
Oh no, we lost Zach's audio.
That's because I'm muted.
Oh, okay.
So what you're saying is when I pull this apart to mod it for my niece, I need to pull out that tracker chip so the Nintendo Ninjas don't show up.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
It's a psychic link actually with every game they make, so I don't know if you could. Yeah.
Dude, that's hilarious. That's ridiculous, man. Freaking crazy. Do you guys have anything else you want to say on this topic?
I have one last question, and that is, how do you identify a way that you are interested in playing a game differently?
That's for me is like games that have more freedom allow me. So here, perfect example is like a Hat in Time.
Yep.
This game is actually a really good example because it has an open mod source made by the developers within it. And so the developers, it's like the opposite of what Nintendo would do. They were like, we are done with the ideas, so we'll just allow everyone else to make their own ideas, right? So give like, you know, nothing's off the table in that regard. So it's like if you have a game with a lot of freedom in it, like that or Mario or something like that, or maybe like a platformer that you really want to perfect, or a game where you like God of War maybe, where you just want to like go damageless, or like, I don't know, any number of things, you know, Call of Duty, whatever, you like don't die, or, you know, any number of things where only use grenades, where there's like a challenge aspect to it, but there's a lot of freedom that gives you like a playground feel. That's like the type of game you want to go in. Like for Hat in Time, like there's a platforming aspect that can be pushed so far and awesomely and creatively that you just want to see how deep that rabbit hole goes. Like, no joke, Lord. Like it's amazing. Yeah. But, you know, for like Donkey Kong, it's like how perfect can you roll through the level? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like for me, it just feels so good to go that fast. And
you were way too proud of yourself for this.
Did it?
It's kind of working. My mic arm is broken, and so I kind of found I've been holding it this whole time, and it's been so uncomfortable. So I think I kind of found a way for it to work for the time being. But you know,
that's all I got to. All I got to say.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I've been studying ROM hacks. That's like I'm so fascinated by that sort of thing. But with the games that I play, so many of them are Metroidvania or Metroidvania similar that there are infinite ways to play that game. There is no prescribed method, and you can handicap yourself all you want. You still end up moving through a specific guided path. So I'm really proud of and impressed by these people who can do a 0% run, or change the, like a randomizer, change the order in which you're obtaining items. I would love to be able to do that and to try it. I just don't have the wherewithal.
Yeah. I'm kind of in that space with you, Zach. There are plenty of games that I play through, and I'm like, I would totally Elden Ring's a good example, right?
That's
like
a great example.
Elden Ring is a game with so many infinite possibilities, that even without breaking the game, you can play that game how you want, or like role play how you want in that game. And I've started a couple characters on that game and played through a little bit, but I haven't I've only done one actual full playthrough, and that's just due to time, So for me, when it comes to finding a game that I would want to do that with, it's usually going to be a shorter game that I have time to play through it several times. And find different unique ways to play it. And yeah, it definitely has to be a type of game that has that kind of freedom. You're not gonna do this with Tetris. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. But, certain games, you do need to have some level of decision making.
Can't use lines, bro. No lines.
I mean, honestly, I think Pokemon games are a perfect, medium for this, because of like the Nuzlocke.
You could use any different type of combinations of rules for Pokemon, like only flying types, like only these moves, like only status effects, any number of things.
On Tetris, though, what if you stipulated where you can only put the L block, or like no, but you can only put the L block on the left side, or the reverse L block on the right side.
One turn only. One turn per block only.
Ooh, see. There you go.
Again,
it's a challenge.
It's a challenge, but you would lose so fast. Like there's
absolutely, but how is it any different than extending? Like
every game has a thing.
You're shortening the duration of the game, but you're like it's no different than lengthening it.
Oh, I've done no banana run. I've done a no banana run for as long as I could in Donkey Kong. Just like tried to beat the first world. I think I got through the first world and that was it. Just tried to touch a banana.
Oh,
it's really stupid.
But it's a decision that you made, and you did learning and growing, and you decided you didn't like it.
That
should be allowed in any game. Absolutely any game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, okay, fair.
I do agree that the size thing is a thing. Like Donkey Kong is like 1 to 2 hours long, depending on how good you do. Like A Hat in Time has like levels that you can enter. So if you want, you can just like play a few custom levels real quick. You don't have to start a game. Like Elden Ring is a great example of a game that has this potential where you're like, yo, I really want to be like a fire electromancer, and like that poisons people, like whatever, like any number of things, like, or I want to be a cleric that has no physical attributes whatsoever and just cast spells the whole game. And you can do this, like you can play this game in any number of ways, but it is so time consuming that it kind of removes that aspect. It's like, yeah, I could be a fire electromancer, but I have to like go get like a tier to like respec myself, and I gotta do that in that file. Oh, I just realized I'm on New Game Plus, so I gotta get up to that part of the game. Like, oh shit, I don't want to do any of that. Like, yeah, that game is too long.
Yeah.
So,
right on. Well, let's end that discussion there. Move on to a quick review. I'm gonna be reviewing actually 4 games all rolled into one. And I'll explain that here in a second, just for the sake of time. Yeah, let's switch over to that real quick. Okay. So, the games that I'm reviewing today are the Way of the Samurai series. Okay. So, you've got on PlayStation 2, you've got the original Way of the Samurai. Then you've got Way of the Samurai 2. And then on the PlayStation 3, you've got Way of the Samurai 3 and Way of the Samurai 4. The footage you're seeing right now is from Way of the Samurai 4. I did play all 4 of these games on stream over the last couple of months. But I didn't splice all the footage together because that would have been a pain in the ass. So you're only going to see Way of the Samurai 4 footage.
So this is the best looking one, you're telling me?
It is the best looking one, but okay. I wouldn't say it is the best one. I'll give all 4 of them an individual ranking at the end. But let's just talk about these games overall real quick. So the concept of the Way of the Samurai games in general, specifically the first one, are based off of the movie, the Akira Kurosawa movie Yojimbo, which is, if you've ever seen Fistful of Dollars, that's a remake of Yojimbo. So you kind of might be able to conceptualize what the plot is, but it's pretty basic. You've got, in the case of Yojimbo, a lone samurai or ronin that rolls up into a town, and the town is in turmoil. You've got, two or more warring factions within that town. Usually, you've got like two different gangs and then the townspeople, right? And that's how it is in that movie. And what Yojimbo does is he goes and basically plays all the factions against each other to his benefit and to the town's benefit. And that's what you're trying to do in these games. Yeah, Comics and Coffee brings up Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis. That is also a remake of Yojimbo. It's actually really good too. So yeah, if you haven't seen any of those movies, I'd advise checking all of them out. But that's a different story. Just go check out those movies. They're very incredible. Good. Yeah,
they're really good.
All three of them are excellent. So yeah, so that's the concept. It's really simple, and all of these games are pretty short. You can beat them, anywhere from a half an hour to 2 to 3 hours. But what's unique about them is there's multiple outcomes. I think the game that has the fewest endings, I think, is actually this one, Way of the Samurai 4. But most of them have upwards of 25 to 30 different endings, and it's all based on the different actions that you take while you're playing the game. Yeah, it's really cool. Now you could decide to play the game like very stoically and just help out the townspeople, blah blah blah, or you could be a total asshole and just screw everyone over. Or you could do the classic Yojimbo thing where you're playing the two factions against each other. That's usually how you get the best ending in each game, is by manipulating each faction to the benefit of the town, right?
Nice.
So it's really cool, but there's also a lot of really goofy elements in the games too, which
I can see that.
Yeah. So like it just makes it a ton of fun, like endlessly replayable. Just really cool. Real quick, let me pull up our notes. I don't even have them up. Oops.
Looks like it's kind of hard to take seriously. Is that true?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
What was that?
I didn't see. I wasn't looking at the screen. It could have been me. It could have been me messing with the stuff because I was trying to pull up the notes. We'll just go through the standard feature game questions real quick. So, what do I like about this game? That's okay. We don't need to. Because there's 4 of them. So yeah. I don't want to waste everyone's time with all the details. But all of them are made by Genki and actually Ubisoft what do you call it? Produced a couple of the games.
Nice.
But
how nice of them.
But yeah, but they're all actually shit. Doesn't matter. We're not going to focus on that. Here we go. BAM Entertainment, Spike, and Acquire. That's who made these games. I was looking at the wrong game. So they're the people who made these games. What did I like about the games? Like I said, just other than being able to role play as a samurai, you get to play through a game that has multiple outcomes. No playthrough is going to be the same, and it's just absolutely a ton of fun. What I don't like about the game is kind of all of these games, even at the time, felt a little bit dated and don't have the best controls, and they're all exceptionally hard. And one of the drawbacks to that, which may or may not have been intentional, is that the best weapons in the game, in all four of the games, you can only get on the harder difficulty levels. And so you kind of have to start, on easy and try and find the best weapon you possibly can, beat the game, and then you can carry that sword over to your next playthrough. And then, maybe up the difficulty a little bit, and then maybe get some better weapons along the way, and then keep going. But it can actually be exceptionally hard, even on the easier difficulties. So that's kind of, I wouldn't say like it detracts from the game, but if there was anything that I really didn't like about it, that probably would be it. Um, but it's still fun, and every time you beat the game, all of these games have tons of unlocks. So you get new costumes, you get new, faces and little things. In the later games, you get like all sorts of accessories that can range from like cool samurai gear to absolutely absurd shit like parrots that sit on your shoulder and stuff.
Wow,
Um,
amazing.
yeah, a lot of goofy stuff. But yeah, it's good. How's the story? All of the stories are basically the same. So, like I said, it's that Yojimbo story. So it's a good story. It's fine. And each one of these games has a little bit of uniqueness to them, in like the setting and the characters and stuff. So you do get a little bit of variation in the story, but not a ton.
You can predict literally everything.
No, yes and no, because there's a lot of like, actually, one of the things that they do really well is like all of the characters have different things going on in their lives, right? And so like you could have played through this game and gotten, 5 different endings and still not know anything about some of the characters, and go back and then involve yourself with them and get totally different results and learn more about the, different intricacies about those characters. So, especially the later ones. I would say the first one, yeah, everything's a little more predictable, like you said. But as the series went on, they did a lot better with that. Um, is the story engaging? Yes, actually. Even though it's simple, you're if you want to get a good ending, you have to really engage with the story. So, it's good. How's the art? The art is another, like I said, it's kind of one of the weak points of the game. And even though the games graphically enhance which with each successive title, you can still see that they basically use the same character models, or at least the same engine for the character models throughout all 4 games. So that's a little disappointing. How is the music? The music is exceptional. That's actually one of the best things about the game. It's like really cool. It like blends like traditional Japanese music that you would expect from like a samurai period with like cool like guitars and like modern musical elements, and it's just really good, and it's throughout all 4 of the games. So that's actually pretty cool. Sound design is fine. It's nothing exceptional. It doesn't hold up to the music, but it's fine. I couldn't really complain about it. How long does it take to beat? Like I said, each one is, anywhere from like a half an hour to 2 or 3 hours, I would say. Definitely the first one is pretty much just like half hour, 45 minutes. The second one is a little longer of a game, so you would expect maybe an hour and a half around there, 2 hours for a full playthrough. The third one actually kind of reverts closer to the original, so it's shorter. You're looking, half hour, 45 minutes for most playthroughs, sometimes a little longer. And then the fourth one is a lot like Way of the Samurai 2, where it's a little bit longer again. Are the games difficult? Yes, we already talked about that. All of them are very difficult, even on the easier difficulties. Would I play sequel? Obviously, I played through all 4 of them. And there's actually a spin-off called Katana no Kami or something like that. Which is actually on the Switch and it's on PC. I think it's on every platform. Um, Unfortunately, it's quite a bit different. It's kind of top down, almost Diablo like, but it's still kind of fun. But one of the things that I brought up at the beginning of the show was the fact that Ghost of Tsushima really kind of popularized this genre again. And I really do hope to see games like this. Actually, that Yakuza game I think is probably the closest thing to a Way of the Samurai successor that we have, because it it kind of follows along with semi-historical events and integrates kind of like goofiness of the Yakuza series as well, which this game has quite a bit of, which is pretty cool. So pretty excited about that. Overall rating and impressions. I'm gonna quick fire all of these. Let's say Way the Samurai 1, I would give a 7.5. Way of the Samurai 2,
Not bad.
I would give a 7.8, though I will say that one's probably my favorite of the series. Way of the Samurai 3, I would also say is a 7.8. And then Way of the Samurai 4, I'm going to give an 8.1. Not because it's my favorite, but it is the most well-rounded of all the games. It's the cleanest. They refined all the systems a lot more in that game. And so, I'll give it that. I do think these games are worth playing, even though I didn't give them the highest of scores. They definitely have some shortcomings to them, but like as far as replayability and fun and goofiness and just pure like kill some time gameplay, it doesn't get any better than these games.
Paul, what did you say? Way of the Samurai, Way of the Samurai 4. Where did you have that?
8.1.
8.1. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So that's just slightly better than Goof Troop. I can see that. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Are these games worth buying? Do not buy Way of the Samurai 4 on PC. It is incredibly broken on PC. If you play this game, play it on the PS3 if you have one. It's actually, I'm playing it through an emulator here, and it works very well in that emulator. I do own this game, but my PS3 is at my brother-in-law's house. I gave that to him a while back, so. But all the rest, I think the only other one that's available on PC is Way of the Samurai 3, and that runs fine on PC. For some reason, Way of the Samurai 4, some people can get it to work. It's completely broken on my computer, so I wouldn't waste your time buying it there. The other ones are playable on PS2 if you have them. Yeah, I think they're definitely worth picking up if you want to get into these kind of games. So. But yeah, that about rounds that out. So I'll take us back to the main thing.
Not bad. They're all playable.
All playable. Yeah.
And very, very fair rankings on that one too, Paul. I mean, a couple of 7.8s. That's 7.8. Like I'm just looking at the list. 7.8 tends to be kind of our bread and butter zone. Like a lot of the games we play come in high 7s, low 8s, and I like that. Yeah. I think that's where they should be. Honestly.
Yeah, these are excellent games, but they're by no means spectacular, in any sense. And honestly, like they all feel very dated is part of the problem. So to like recommend these without explicitly telling people that they're gonna experiencing that, I think would be disingenuous. So like, if you're into and wanna experience that kind of like early PS2 vibe and are willing to deal with the consequences, these are 100% worth picking up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do something similar with the Kengo games. I do have one more game to play through in my list of Kengo games. This one is actually on Xbox 360, so I need to get an Xbox 360 before I can do that. I've got some leads on one, but I thought it.
Well, I think coming up, I'm going to do exactly the same thing with Mega Man 1 through 5.
Cool. So, but yeah, that's it. Any closing thoughts for the shows, boys?
It's a good conversation. It's good to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was nice.
Amazing. Nice stuff. It's been months.
Years.
It's been almost exactly a month.
I think it's been a month. We had 3 down leaks.
Yeah.
It has been a month.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right on. Well, everyone have an awesome night.
Oh, yeah, let's go. He's got a baby.
Yeah. We're wrapping.
I eat food, dog.
Hurry up and wrap it up.
I'm trying to wrap. You guys keep interrupting. It's great to be back.
It's good to be back.
Good to be back. Guys, thanks again for watching the show and hanging out with us. If you're watching us live, you're on my Twitch channel. I play video games on Tuesdays and sometimes Thursdays. I've been kind of taking a break from that, but as soon as I find some more inspiration, some games that I feel like are worth playing that aren't samurai games, because that's for Saturday, we'll be back to that.
How Colin shows up.
Oh, hey, welcome.
Oh, because he's waking up because he knows we're about to play.
Hilarious. Anyway, so that's where you can find me on Twitch. If you want to yell at me on Twitter, it's at Ryugami-sama. If you're watching this on YouTube, please share it, and that'd be really great. And that's it for me. Josh, where can we find you, my guy?
It's a hat clock, hat in time. You can find me at Lord Yeshua and Lord Yeshua TTV on all my socials. Come check me out. Play some hat in time with 4Gs. And that's about it. Be speedrunning some Donkey Kong soon. What about you, Zach? Where you at?
It's still on hiatus from streaming over at the Another Letdown channel, but coming soon. We'll be getting back to Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 and God of War Ragnarok. Coming very, very soon.
That actually might be the next game I stream. We'll see. Maybe I'll do Pokemon.
F you, man. I have dibs on that one.
I'll do Pokemon.
You do Pokemon. Well,
I'll review Pokemon. We should all review Pokemon.
Yeah, as to say. We should do this difficult versus Pokemon.
The game is a month and a half away.
I know. Jesus Christmas. But yes, coming. I'm hoping. I really hope that I'll get back to streaming by October. Katie goes back to work this week, and my mom's going to start taking care of the baby sometimes during the week to allow me to stream again. So
I will say, Dread came out a year ago. Who has replayed it since then? Raise your hand.
Not I.
Not I. I attempted to replay it right after, but not technically replayed.
I did it.
You have?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I've done the whole thing, but yes,
no, I'm just making sure. Okay, yeah.
I've watched it played 4 times. I've played it myself twice.
Yeah, I watched it played a bunch, but I'm just like looking back at the year, like I only played that game once all the way through.
Yeah.
Oh, but dude, I love that game. Anyway,
it is a really good game.
Food.
All right,
get us out of here.
Let's get out of here. Have a good night, everyone.
Well,
Goodbye.
See you guys. Woo.